Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey present Locked On Sports Today.
The biggest question mark for the Avalanche is the man between the pipes. Are the Orlando Magic ready to make the can't-miss pick? And even with all the drama, the Cleveland Browns do not regret trading for Deshaun Watson. I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Stanley Cup Final kicks off tonight. Game 1, Avalanche Lightning, with a chance to hoist, of course, the best trophy in all of sports, Lord Stanley's Cup. Joining me now from Locked On Avalanche, Chris Maselli. And Chris, this is a team that comes in feeling pretty good about itself. Sweeping each of the last 2 series, playing some really good hockey. On the other side, the Lightning have had to kind of scratch and claw their way to the finals. Is there any concern from your side going, maybe the Avalanche might not be as sharp as the Lightning coming into this series because of their path?
I think that's always maybe a little bit of a concern, but nothing that's going to be long-term. Maybe we've talked about this on the show a couple times because, like you said, 2 out of the 3 rounds, the Avalanche have swept. So they've had a long time off for a couple rounds now. And I think at this point in the season, you're not really going to have any rust. That's always a big conversation with people in the hockey world, is rest versus rust. If there's any rust, that's going to be gone within the first couple shifts per line. They'll be ready to go. I don't really anticipate it lingering all that long, to be honest with you now.
So in our discussion about the matchups here, the goalkeepers are always going to be a big part of the story. And when you look at the matchups here, I think it would be easy to say, well, Andrei Vasilevskiy, the Lightning, he creates an advantage for Tampa Bay. How does the Avalanche make up for whatever perceived gap there is there?
There's a gap. I mean, no matter who plays Tampa Bay, there's going to be a gap between maybe not the Rangers, but we saw that just happen. And as well as Shesterkin played for the Rangers, Tampa Bay still got to him. And it was tough for the Rangers to break through to Vasilevskiy. With the Avalanche, I mean, don't minimize their goaltending. I mean, they have good goaltending. They just haven't performed up to how they were performing in the regular season. So you want that regular season goaltending from, in particular, Darcy Kuemper to really come back, and he can hang. He really can. He had a great regular season. A lot of people were throwing him around to be in the discussion for goalie of the year. And not that he was really going to be one of the finalists, but he's up there. And it just hasn't materialized into a really good postseason for him, but he is capable. And I think, this is the Stanley Cup playoffs. When you have the Super Bowl, when you have the NBA final, players rise to that occasion. And I think for Darcy Kuemper, he will, and he has to, because he is going to need to be better than what he's been so far through the postseason. The Avs offense has really kind of not really needed amazing goaltending, but they're going to need it playing Tampa when you know that they're going to get it from their goaltender.
And I wanted to ask you about that part of it, because the Avalanche, you and I have joked, aptly named with their attack, because they can come at you in waves. They can turn a 2-0 deficit into a 3-2 lead in half a period. So to what degree do you think it is the old adage, their best defense is a good offense in this series?
Yeah, and I think for this series, it is never going to be over until it's all zeros on the scoreboard in the third period, because both of these teams, especially the Avalanche, can turn around a deficit really quickly. We've seen them do that many times in these playoffs, and they have given up the first goal many times. So they've had to come from behind several times. They are capable of doing it, and it's going to be that much tougher against, like we said, against a very good goaltender. But this is the matchup that everybody wants to see for a championship matchup, because it really can go either way. If you're looking up, the so-called experts and their predictions and things like that, it's 50-50. It's summer Avs, summer Tampa Bay. There's just so much here to get excited about that you genuinely don't know. This thing has all the makings of a classic and going 7 games, and really could go in any direction. It's just completely up in the air, which is what you want for a final. It's not one-sided one way or the other.
Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. We have an important favor to ask you. We put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcasts even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like and don't like about Locked On podcasts. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take very long, and everyone that completes a survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards to take our audience survey. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Thanks for your help. Coming up, are the Orlando Magic ready to make the right call on a potential franchise-altering choice? Here's what to look for on BetOnline, your number one spot for all your daily gambling needs. The favorites for the top 5 picks in the NBA draft look like this. BetOnline likes Jabari Smith Jr. at -195 to go first overall. Chet Holmgren is BetOnline's pick to go second, -210 to land in OKC. And the third pick, Paolo Banchero as the runaway favorite. BetOnline likes him to become a Houston Rocket, -600 odds. Good gracious. And if BetOnline has their way, Jaden Ivey will be a Sacramento King. Odds are -225 that Ivey will be taken in the 4th. BetOnline, where the game starts. The investigation into a hostile and toxic work environment for the Phoenix Suns is heating up. Melissa Fender-Paniokotopoulos resigned due to alleged bullying and retaliation following her raising concerns about gender equality and misconduct within the organization. She sent a resignation email on May 20th to 16 members of the ownership group, including majority owner Robert Sarver, challenging them to address what she said is a toxic and misogynistic workplace. The NBA is still conducting its investigation into allegations of said dysfunction, which began back in November. In her email, she said the Suns organization has, quote, never been more dysfunctional, and the culture is rapidly eroding. Golden Tate is back on a professional field, or rather a professional diamond. On Tuesday, the former New York Giants wide receiver signed with the Port Angeles Lefties, a Washington-based entry to the independent West Coast League. Tate, who calls baseball his first love, played at Notre Dame while also starring as a wide receiver for the football program. He was even drafted by 2 different Major League Baseball teams, once in 2007 in the 42nd round by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and once in 2010 by the San Francisco Giants in the 50th round. Obviously, Tate made the right choice by going to the NFL, but now we'll see if he can have his cake and eat it too with baseball. Could baseball's biggest star, speaking of baseball, soon be on the move? Ken Rosenthal reported that Shohei Ohtani and the LA Angels had preliminary contract extensions talks back in spring training, but the two sides are far apart. The Angels expressed their understanding that Ohtani will command the highest average annual value in the game, which would give him more than Max Scherzer's current $43.3 million a year, but they balked at giving him the length of contract he could find on the open market potentially. Ohtani's contract is up after the 2023 season when he will be 29 years old, and it is fair to wonder if he can continue to provide two-way talent for a long time into the future. Will the Angels actually give him the contract he thinks he deserves? Something to keep an eye on in LA. Speaking of baseball, Nick Pavetta is doing amazing things on the mound for the Boston Red Sox as they take care of business against the Oakland A's.
What more can we say about Nick Pavetta after he turned in yet another dazzling performance for the Red Sox on Tuesday night in Boston's win over the Oakland A's at Fenway Park? Hey, it's Lauren from Locked On Red Sox, and Nick Pavetta, the story of the game here. He becomes the first pitcher since Chris Sale in 2019 to have multiple outings that lasted at least 8 innings. JD Martinez and Rafael Devers provided home runs for the Red Sox, and now the Red Sox winning streak is at 2. Here we go again. Let's get some wins. Jake and I will break down Tuesday's win for you on Wednesday's episode of Locked On Red Sox.
Usually when you have the number one pick, things like team needs don't factor into these decisions. But the Orlando Magic are in a unique position because they have some nice young pieces on this roster. So that means they have a decision to make at the top of the 2022 NBA draft. Joining me to try and help the Magic make that decision, Philip Rossmann-Reich from Locked On Magic. And Philip, we have a big three, it seems. There is Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paolo Banchero. How much do you think, because of that young talent, fit is going to play a factor in this number one pick?
I mean, I think the Magic had the second worst record in the league last year. So, yes, we talk about a lot of really good young players for this Magic team, but this is still a team that needs a lot of different things. They're still a long way away from being where they ultimately want to be. That's competing for a playoff spot, competing for a championship. So I think to some extent, it's always take the best player available at the top of the draft. But the way that I've been approaching this draft is I've been telling people, don't focus so much on the player. This is really about the Magic deciding the team they want to be. All three of these players are really good players. You're splitting hairs trying to figure out who to pick between the three of them. So the Magic have to really figure out who do we actually want to build around, who's going to be a tentpole for our team as we begin to build forward, because there are some other really nice players in there that they're still trying to figure out.
At the same time, if you look at the guys who, let's say, need the ball versus maybe don't need the ball so much because the Magic have some ball handlers. They use high picks on Jalen Suggs. You have Wagner. They've also used some high picks on big, long bigs, guys who have mostly not worked out. So
don't need to tell me.
Look, you are watching that every day, so no one knows that pain more than you do with Mo Bamba. Although there are some signs there, but is this a case where the Magic are looking at this going, I don't know, can we really take the 7-foot guy that might have some physical issues that needs to fill out and needs to do all these things again?
I mean, look, the Orlando Magic have a type. Even the team's social media account leans into this trope. I mean, I've heard even the executives joke a little bit about this fact that the Magic have a type. They want guys that are versatile. They want guys that can guard multiple positions. They want guys that do more than what their traditional position would dictate. That's one of the reasons that they were attracted to Mo Bamba. It's one of the great attractions that, Chet Holmgren, who you're alluding to there, it becomes part of the puzzle. Again, I think all three of these guys fit that type. They all have good positional length. They all have good positional versatility. They all bring something unique to the table. And so that doesn't make this decision any easier. I've been big in saying that the Magic do need to get a number one option. That's kind of the big thing that they're missing, is just a guy who can go get a basket. But again, you're at the top of the draft. You have the pick of everyone. I'm still a big believer of, you take the best player available. You take the best guy on the board. You take the best guy that you can that fits, all your criteria, whatever it may be, and you move forward from there. Because yes, there's a lot of really good pieces on this team, or a lot of good, interesting young players on this team, but now you got to start figuring out how to put them all together. And this pick is a big part of that.
All right, Philip. So John Hammond gives you a phone call and he says, hey, so who do you like? Who do you think we should take? What's your answer?
The more I watch tape on him and the more I think about it, I think Jabari Smith is really the guy to take here. I think that he has the shooting, which the Magic desperately need. The Magic have not been, I believe, in the top 10 in 3-point field goal percentage since Dwight Howard left. I think they've only been in the top half of the league in 3-point field goal percentage once in the last 10 years since Dwight Howard left. And obviously, we've seen 3-point shooting explode across the league in that time. So he provides the 3-point shooting just as a baseline. He is a really, really good defender, and that's obviously something the Magic, I think, have really focused on and put an emphasis on throughout their drafts. You talk about the Magic having a type that certainly fits it. But the more I watch him, the more I think that some of the things that people consider to be weaknesses is inability to maybe attack off the dribble consistently, somewhat his ability to get to the basket. I think a lot of those problems are going to go away as A, he gets better from everything I've heard about him and his work ethic, but B, NBA spacing is going to do wonders for him. This is a guy that doesn't waste dribbles. If he's going to take a 2-dribble pull-up, he's going to take a 2-dribble pull-up and he's going to make it over most defenders, that are going to defend him. If you need him just to be a spot-up 3-point shooter, he can do that. And it's that role versatility that I think really can make him special, especially as he adds more of that one-on-one game. I think that he brings the most to the table, and he's super talented. I've gotten into a little bit of an argument with some people about, you don't draft a Chris Middleton. which has been kind of a comparison that people have made about Jabari Smith. And I'm just like, Chris Middleton's an all-star. The Milwaukee Bucks probably aren't playing for a championship right now because Chris Middleton's hurt. You're not going to solve all your problems in one draft. Go get a guy that's going to be pretty good as a baseline and can be even better as he continues to get older, get more experience, and improve his game.
Coming up, the Cleveland Browns have so little regret about trading for Deshaun Watson. They'd do it again. Don't you love a chewy, chocolatey brownie? Maybe a little caramel in there, a little swirl. What if I told you could get that chewy, chocolatey deliciousness plus 17 grams of protein? Well, you're in luck. Caramel brownie bars are available at Built.com right now, and you have to act fast because they're a fan favorite. Forget about dessert. These are better than dessert. Plus the macros, they deliver 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 4 grams of sugar. Built.com does it right because we're going to help you. We're going to help you out. Built.com. Promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Deshaun Watson cannot seem to exit the daily news cycle. Each day brings another lawsuit, another accuser, another grim detail. Watson, though, remains resolute in his belief that the facts will exonerate him.
I mean, that's, I never forced anyone, I never assaulted anyone. So that's what, I've been saying it from the beginning, and I'm going to continue to do that. And
it's fair to wonder if the Cleveland Browns have buyer's remorse, right? Garrett Bush from Locked On Browns is firm in his belief that the Browns would actually do it all again.
But in terms of whether or not the Cleveland Browns would make this move again, I wholeheartedly believe that they would take and make this move every day and twice on Sunday. It may be a little bit difficult for them to, swallow some of the stuff that comes along with it. But when you look at it, it's a business of wins and losses, right? It's the reason why there's always somebody that'll go out and look at Antonio Brown. There's always a reason why Josh Gordon is still in the league, right? You're going to, as an owner, do everything that you can and do to make sure that your team is successful. And if you're Jimmy and D Haslam, what they looked at is said, listen, this guy's in the prime of his career. Even if push comes to shove, he misses a whole year. He's still 27 years old. He comes back, and we have a franchise quarterback at probably what will be a bargain in about 5 years, because $230 million compared to, some of these guys. Josh Allen got a big deal, but some of these new guys coming back up for contract, they could be getting $500, $50 million, whatever the case may be. I think they looked at it from a point saying, look, hey, this guy can potentially give us an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. And they took that opportunity and said, hey, we'll figure out, is he going to jail? Okay, these are civil suits. Okay, well, we comfortable with that. And I just think some people won't be comfortable with it. That's fine. You have your own prerogative. You won't be comfortable with it. Some people are going to say, hey, I can't watch the Browns anymore. But that's just reality of what the NFL is, and that's how it's moving. And I think the Browns, based on what he gives them on the field, an opportunity to win, they do it again.
And this is, unfortunately, the most predictable part of this story, that an NFL team would put wins and losses ahead of ethics, ahead of decency, morality. Pick one of those things. That they would treat its fans this way. That it would force its fans to equivocate, to dissemble, to compartmentalize their feelings about a person versus what they produce on the football field. And the Cleveland Browns are doing a thing that almost every NFL team, and maybe every NFL team would do, is they would decide that the fans would forgive, that they would forget, and instead say, we're going to do a thing to make our team significantly better, because that's what Deshaun Watson is. If this were a much worse player, no one would have taken this risk. But at the most important position on the field, a potential all-pro talent, a team is going to take a risk like this. And we don't even have to get into the ugly and I think unfounded accusations about a team that is analytically driven, caring only about the data and eschewing the human side of these sorts of decisions. Forget that for a second, because it's not just the Browns who would make a call like this. Plenty of teams, far less analytically driven teams, would make decisions just like this, and that is the sad part. The sad part is that when this happened, every NFL fan, in their heart of hearts, knew Deshaun Watson would get another opportunity, that he would get another chance, that another team would say, we are willing to take the risk on him, even if new lawsuits and new accusers surface, which, by the way, has happened. They knew, and we knew, I knew, you knew, another team would give him a chance because he's good on the field. That is a sad indictment of the sport and the way that too many teams continue to operate. And finally, Rory McIlroy is not done, quote, defending the shield of the PGA Tour. When referencing the golfers who left for the LIV Invitational and the millions of dollars in signing bonuses, Rory said this: yeah, I think everyone in this room would say to themselves that for the guys who left, their best days are behind them. That's why I don't understand for the guys that are a similar age to me going, because I would like to believe that my best days are still ahead of me, and I think theirs are too. So that's where it feels like they are taking the easy way out. This story is not going away anytime soon, and the degree to which the PGA Tour players who have stayed are taking it personally, that the guys who went across the pond went, I'm loving it. I really am truly loving it. Thanks for making Locked On Sports today your first listen. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA Big Board as they get you ready for the ultimate NBA mock draft. Starting June 16th, Locked On NBA brings you the ultimate NBA mock drafts. Rafael Barlow from Locked On NBA Big Board is joined by every Locked On NBA host and some NBA insiders from Odyssey to deliver picks and analysis. Locked On does mock drafts better than anyone else, and the ultimate NBA mock draft is a perfect example. Coming up Thursday, will it be the Avalanche or the Lightning on top after Game 1? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey present Locked On Sports Today.